All right, well, welcome everybody. Good afternoon. I am very pleased to announce our speaker, but first I'm going to mention I want to thank everyone for joining with the Wood County Committee on Aging for our Virtual Learning Academy. These are all of our educational programs that we are now offering over Zoom for you. So if there's something that you missed in this presentation, I encourage you afterwards to check out our YouTube channel where we will be uploading these videos. But without further ado, I want to introduce one of our long-term partners with the WCCOA, Mike McMaster. And Mike McMaster is actually in his 17th year at the Wood County Museum, and he is their education coordinator. So I'm going to turn it to you, Mike. Maybe you can let us know a little bit more about your history and what you do, not only for older adults in our county, but for students as well.
All right, thank you. Like she said, my name is Mike McMaster. I have worked at the Wood County Museum for 17 years. Usually before COVID, I would give 120, over 120 programs a year, half to seniors, half to students in their classes. Since no one is meeting and schools can't have visitors, we're doing more virtual things. So hopefully this works. This is one of my earlier programs that I made many years ago, but one of my favorites, and it's a good test program to you. And I will go to share screen. And let's see, I'll share. All right. Can you see that okay?
Yes, we can.
Rita?
Yes.
Nod? All right. Okay, good. Like I said, I work at the Wood County Museum. Many of you have probably been out there. I'm going to start this program with this humorous story. The question, a man called the museum about 17 years ago, and he wanted to know, where is Shutnok? And I thought to myself, I think I might know. And I got an 1886 atlas of Wood County. But even 17 years ago, I probably should have used cheaters. And I told him, as I squinted at the 1886 atlas, that it was section 20 in Plain Township, right underneath the landfill. And he was very disappointed, very, very disappointed. And then he hung up. I never know who he was, but I was wrong. It is not in section 20 in Plain Township. The title of this talk is Shutnok, a somewhat noted sand dune and a very early Wood County legend. As events were before cameras, I've chosen images from about that time period. As you can see, this is a Native American legend that predates much of Wood County. The legend of Shutnok comes to us by the way of newspaperman Charles Evers. Charles Evers was born in Plain Township in 1837 near Miltonville. Miltonville, he moved to Plain Township in 1837. In 1837, Plain Township, as much as Wood County was, still the Black Swamp. The Ottawas, the Native Americans who lived here, had just recently left. Among other things, Charles Evers taught school in Plain Township. He attended Oberlin College until the Civil War broke out. He served in the Civil War, was wounded, captured, and paroled during the war. He was twice elected sheriff of Wood County, but what he's most famous for is being a newspaperman of the Sentinel in Bowling Green. By 1870, he was the sole owner. He formed a political newspaper later on, and by 1880, he was the sole owner of the Sentinel again until he retired in 1884. While he was the newspaperman of the Sentinel, he would put reminiscences of the early pioneers that he knew and grew up with in Wood County. If you are familiar with the biographical record of Wood County, the Thick Beers book. He wrote the first 12 chapters of volume 1, but he was not satisfied with how that biographical record of Wood County was made. So he, very late in life, began writing the Pioneer Scrapbook of Wood County, where this story comes from. He wrote that the purpose of this book is to preserve to the people of Wood County and the Maumee Valley some of the historic facts and interesting incidents of its early days and present them in an entertaining and readable form. Unfortunately, he died before this book could be complete. The editor of the Toledo Newsbee took his notes and hurriedly published this in 1910, shortly after death. Charles Evers is buried in Oak Grove Cemetery in Bowling Green. Evers Street is reportedly named after him. His daughter, May Evers Ross, wrote that the early struggles of Wood County pioneers was a chapter so replete with tragic interest, so tinged with romance, so filled with human endeavor. And this story has all of those things. According to Shutnok, according to Charles Evers, Shutnok was, before its surface was disturbed by the plow, the highest sand mound in Wood County. How it came to bear this name, none of the oldest settlers seem to know, though the belief has been current and has been handed down from generation to generation that it bore the name of a chief of one of the fragmentary tribes inhabiting the Maumee country after Anthony Wayne broke their power in 1794. It was, as he reported, the highest sand mound in Wood County. Let's see. Oh, I gotta turn my. I'm not used to reading, but here is a map of Plain Township. The red horizontal line running right to left is Route 6. The first road going south, the red line, that's Euler and Wingston Road. And highlighted on the farm of T.D. Avery, his 60 acres in section 29 is the word Shutnok, and you can see the hill. And you can also see right across due north of Shutnok is section 20, the landfill, where I was mistaken. This is from the 1886 Atlas of Wood County. Shutnok is the only geographical feature labeled in all of Wood County other than some of the streams and rivers. Here is a close-up. You can see Shutnok there on T.D. Avery's farm. And like I said, it came from the book Atlases, Wood County Atlases, 1875 to 1912. That is an early Wood County genealogy publication, but Shutnok, spelled this time with a C, the only geographic feature on the map. Now, Charles Evers' neighbor when he was growing up in Plain Township was the Reverend Isaac Tassel, someone I'm sure he knew as a child. And he states there are others who have been led to believe this spot, Shutnok, was the burial place of a chief whose name it bore. There is another story that comes to us more directly from an earlier chronicler who was once connected with the Indian mission at Station Island. That would be Reverend Isaac Van Tassel. He states that the Indians avoided the place under the superstitious belief that the Great Spirit had set its seal of displeasure, a curse upon the place for some sin committed by his children, the secret of which was hidden beneath the grassy surface of the mound. The bottom picture is the Indian Mission School, and there is a marker near there founded by the Presbyterian Church in 1822, abandoned in 1834. A funny story, I showed this picture to fourth graders, and they wrote a letter to me talking about the Indian Mission School. I said that to go to the school, many of the Indian boys and girls lived at the school, and one girl said, no wonder it was abandoned in 1834. Now, another story circulated that the chief Tintagani had a daughter, a beautiful girl who was loved by a young Indian of the Shawnee tribe, Tintagani being in Ottawa, and of noble birth, but whose tribe had dwindled down to only a fragment, so that he had lost his greatness in the eyes of the chief Tintagani, who looked upon him with disfavor. The young Indian's love was reciprocated by the girl and was a secret between them. This secret was detected by the quick perceptions of the chief, and with flashing eye and angry voice, he pointed at the young man to the plains and told him to go and never return. The girl secretly stole away and followed her lover in the direction of his home until they reached a high mound, the highest perhaps in the country, on the north side of what is known as Keeler Prairie. When she bade him farewell and watched him receding reform until he passed from her sight forever. The broken-hearted girl returned to her father's wigwam, but fell into a despondent state and could not be roused. Some of Tintagani's runners reported to him that she was wont to stand on the high mound, looking to the south, chanting a mournful song. Finally, she was missed and came back no more. And superstition prevails to this very day that in the darkness of the night, the figure of an Indian girl with her blanket about her shoulders could be seen on the mound, and that strange sounds of a funeral dirge could be heard echoing below. The mound has ever since gone by the name Shutnok, said to be the name of the girl. There are other stories about Shutnok. Charles Evers also wrote in the spring of 1879, a skeleton was exhumed 5 miles west of Bowling Green at Shutnok by brickyardmen who were engaged in excavating sand for their yard. This skeleton is supposed to be the remains of an Indian or some other human of giant stature. He had been buried with his head to the west. Between his legs sat 2-gallon brass kettle in good state of preservation. Inside the kettle sat a small iron kettle. Near the side of the skeleton lay a rust-eaten tomahawk, scalping knife, and flint steel, also a stone smoke pipe. This would be with the presence of iron and brass and early 18th century burial. We know that in the boundaries of Wood County today, there was only one mound along the Maumee River near Eagle Point at Toledo. This is the city of Rossford today. This is a prehistoric fort. You can see the half circle that the prehistoric Native Americans built to defend a village that probably sat inside. This mound is completely gone. There are houses, they farmed it. There's a school there called Eagle Point Elementary, and the Jewish cemetery is there. Now, the skeleton of gigantic stature. I happen to have found a Marion Daily Star newspaper article from 1902 that says, the skeleton of a prehistoric giant was exhumed in a sandbank near the city of Bowling Green Tuesday by a laborer. The skeleton, when placed together as it was in life, measured nearly 9 feet in length. The skull measured almost 12 inches in diameter. The bones, at first thought to be the remains of some giant Indian, but the shape of the head is not the shape peculiar to Indians, and the age in which the man lived is still in doubt. The man was squatting or sitting when buried, for the knees were doubled up under the chin, 9 feet length. There are many legends of the Native Americans about a giant race that they fought with before the white man came, and that they extinguished. Perhaps this is true, I don't know. I'll leave that up to you. Now, where is Shutnok today in section 29? Can you still visit? No. Here is most likely where Shutnok is. Not inside the museum, but inside the bricks. The main ingredients in making bricks are sand, 50 to 60%, and clay, which there is an abundance in Wood County. There was also sand used in making thousands of miles of field tile. In Bowling Green was a glass industry, which they needed that sand as well. I went to a portion of Shutnok today, south of Eula Road on Keeler Prairie, and the highest sand mound is all but gone. The grove of trees still sits below. So if you drive west on Route 6 and south on Wingston and Eula Roads, you will find Keeler Prairie and no Shutnok today. That's the last slide I have of the story, but the Wood County Museum is now open for people with masks who social distance Monday through Friday from 10 to 4 and Saturday and Sunday from 1 to 4. There's a $6 senior admission as well. What is on display from last year on the right for comfort and convenience? The history of the Ohio Poor Farms. Above is Columbiana County, Ohio's ruins of their poor farm. On the left is people, places, and things. We have thousands of photos of Wood County from your time period, from my time period, from 100 years before our time period on display. Thousands of photos, canes, potato chips, oil derricks, interurban trains, horses, people, places, things. Every Friday, our Facebook page is managed. Friday, I post a story limited by the number of characters and spaces of history of Wood County. If you visit our Wood County Museum website, every Friday is a new post. All of our events, all the pertinent news about the museum is on the Facebook page. And if you remember, the museum now has a fully serviceable elevator. If you remember how steep the county home stairs are, now park behind the building in the well-marked spots. There are 8 or 9 well-marked spots behind the building. That's a very short distance to the elevator, and you can take it from the ground floor to the first and second floor and then down. So please tell your friends, if they're worried about not getting upstairs, we have a big elevator. That is the last slide I have. I'll stop my share.
Wonderful.
And I hope
Thank you so much,
internet was
Mike.
a little wonky there for a second. I hope everything, whoops, let's see if I can go back. Uh-oh. I lost everything.
Oh, that's all right. What I'm going to do
Right.
now is unmute. I'll ask everybody to unmute if you would like to ask a question or, share a comment with Mike. I invite you to do so. All right, so I think everybody should be unmuted now. Feel free at this time to talk with Mike.
Question.
Yes.
Was the skeleton that you had mentioned, was that buried in the Shutnok mound?
The one that Charles Evers writes about with the kettle and the tomahawk and the knife, the steel and brass items, he describes it only as giant stature. The Marion Daily Star probably is a prehistoric burial since no metal was found in it. That could have been Sand Ridge Road. I'm going to take this off so you can hear me. I'm around nobody. That my understanding is it was near the Sand Ridge, just outside of Bowling Green. Sand Ridge Road area is what I was thinking.
Okay. What happened to the skeleton?
There are many stories of 9 10-foot skeletons being found at the turn of the century. I don't think anybody knows what happened to the skeletons. There is a big conspiracy website that the Smithsonian has them all and just will not release the information. It's an area, what is it, 51 or whatever, of history. But it's very interesting stories about the skeletons found at about the turn of the century.
Okay, thank you.
Would anybody else like to ask a question or share a comment with Mike? All right. Well, that wraps up our presentation for today. I encourage all of you to keep watching. Mike is willing to come back for us and keep doing these Zoom presentations as we continue throughout this unique time of virtual programming. So thank you all again. I'll leave it open for one more question if anybody has anything.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
Rita?
I hope you have a great day.
Hello, Rita.
Oh, yeah.
I was a little unclear about the location because I think in the description of the Zoom, it said it was located north of Bowling Green.
Yes. So did I?
Yeah, due west of Bowling Green, if you take Route 6 west towards the landfill, Euler Road is the first road that goes south. Wingston and Euler kind of meet up where that T.D. Avery farm used to be. I don't know whose farm it is now. There is a brick house on a very small hill, but definitely not Shutnok. All of that sand was excavated for bricks, for field tile, for glass, for building, and now is completely gone.
So what would the distance be southwest of Bowling Green?
5 miles is about, it all depends on whose account. 5 miles from Bowling Green, known by Charles Evers, or 5 mile, or where the Bowling Green city limits are today are two different things. But all I know is it's south on Euler where Wingston Road come together.
Thank you.
In section 29.
I lived on Wingston Road growing up, and there were a lot more hills on Sandridge Road back then.
Yes.
When you go through there, a lot of them are gone because they leveled them and built houses.
Yes.
And I lived on the Bordner farm. I lived on the Bordner farm, which is south of Sandridge Road on Wingston, about half a mile down. And I had a friend that lived on Euler Road, so I know right where it's at. And going out of Sandridge Road, you cross 6, and then it's a little further up yet.
Yeah.
Right. Well, thank you again, Mike. We really do appreciate this.
And I will be back
next month, early next month, I believe, right?
Is it Monday, October 5th is what the date is, I think?
I believe so. So keep an eye out. Like I said, I mixed up the descriptions for these two programs, so that's why it was a little different for today, but we are always glad to have you, Mike. Thank you again.
All right, thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, you take care, everybody. Have a great one.
Thanks, you too.
Thank you.
Thank you.